off with her head. I always wanted to say that, y'all, but nah, real talk, y'all. So Lotus really got kidnapped. Concierge is definitely not happy, and your boy Fuego done lost his daggone mind, y'all. Well, we're talking All the Queens Men, episode 19, Danger, Danger. Let's get into it. Now, y'all already know this episode starts right where the last one left off, and that's with your girl, Madam, having the concierge come over. Now, he comes over, they do what they do, and Madam lets him know, hey, I got your wife. And then she also tells him what his wife did, the reason why she did this. And then, of course, he's all butthurt and upset about this situation. And you can tell that things changed in a matter of minutes because the concierge lets her know that, look, if you've done what I think you've done, we are now enemies. So on my last video, if you made it to the end of that video, I said that the only thing that could possibly happen if this really was a kidnapping is that Madam and the concierge would become enemies. He would be the one coming after her, plus the family, of course. But this would be the big pivotal point, and this is probably where season 3 is going to go. So let me be clear, y'all. I still think that Lotus is completely dumb. I still think that she actually has no flex, no power as far as within herself. I think that her biggest flex is her family, is her father. I think she stands behind that name, but we all know that the moves that she made was completely, it was crazy. She definitely caused this. Now, Madam, of course, is going to be the one that has to take the blame for it. You know, she's the problem, but Lotus is the one who started this, and he couldn't control his own wife. Like, I just don't understand, like, why we mad at Madam. I understand that, you know, he has $1.3 billion to lose, and that he felt like if he could control Madam and get her not to go after Lotus, that everything would be good. But he fails to realize that he had to get Lotus not to go after Madam in order for Madam not to go after Lotus. Like, come on now. I know that sounded confusing, but it's really not that confusing. Control your wife and Madam won't react. She minds her own business. She does her own thing until somebody comes after her. So at the end of the day, the problem is Lotus. Let's be real. Now, y'all, one of my favorite parts of this whole interaction between these two was when Madam tells him to go slow. She was like, don't get jerky because I'm going to get twitchy. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is not going to be good, y'all. So anyway, y'all, we're going to move on to Dime and Big D because he's going to end up dropping her off, you know, and he's still going to be flirting with her. He's going to end up telling her like, look, I can fix your car for you. And he's even going to pay for it and everything. So I'm just like, Big D, Amp already done told you know, about the situation in a sense. Like, you saw how angry he got, and I'm sorry, Doc already told you to let this go, but yet you still gonna try to play with fire. You still gonna try to go with this. So, you know, it is what it is. We just gonna see what's gonna happen. So anyway, y'all, meanwhile, Jenna is somewhere having nightmares, and Blue swears that she's gonna protect her, but Jenna just doesn't think she can. She doesn't want her to get hurt, you know? And I'm just like, okay, so the stuff is about to hit the fan with Blue and Fernando, because we all know that Fernando is Jenna's husband. I mean, that's the only thing that it can be. So anyway, y'all, meanwhile, Midnight is doing what he do, you know, typical Midnight thing, when Babyface is going to call him and let him know, hey, I'm in jail, and that he needs to tell Madam that he's locked up. Now, we are going to see Detective Davis. She's going to be trying to get Babyface to talk, and she even goes as far as trying to use his grandma. Now, I'm like, girl, it is late outside. It is nighttime. Let his grandma go to sleep. Why is you doing this? You're doing the most, for real, for real. Now, anyway, y'all, Madam is going to make sure that all the loose ends are tied up from the cleanup from the judge, you know, because both of those, her husband and the judge, of course, are both dead and they are on the news. So she just wants to make sure everything is good and that there's not going to be any blowback to them. Now, Madam is going to be a little bit concerned about Pretty Ricky. She knows that he is going to come back big. She knows that this isn't, you know, going to be some small feat, because she knows that she took his wife and that he's going to do something that is going to try to catch them off guard. And she's just like, look, make sure that everything is on alert, you know, because he's going to come big and he's going to come bold. So anyway, y'all, Blue is also going to be a little concerned about Madam, you know, possibly killing Lotus. She's like, with her connections, you know, is that something that you really want to do, you know, with her family and all this? And Madam is just like, look, I'm not going to be disrespected. Like, I don't give a F. You know what I'm saying? Like, essentially, Madam is okay with dying. And she knows that if she kills her, that this is going to start a war. But she feels like you've disrespected me. You've come after me multiple times at this point. I have to respond. So, you know, it is what it is, y'all. Fuego, I can't even say his name no more, y'all. So meanwhile, Fuego is out here spazzing out. I mean, he is like just doing the most. Like, dude, when you got home, everything was clean. I understand that you have a conscience, but you have to know that if you go and tell the police this dumbass story about somebody putting your finger on a trigger, that they are not going to believe you. It sounds stupid. Like, it sounds so far-fetched, and I don't understand for the life of me why he doesn't realize that that story sounds far-fetched, but he lives in this fairy tale world where he believes in this legal system is going to work for him, and I'm just like, bruh, ain't nobody finna believe that. But he wants to go to the cops, and Doc is trying to calm him down and all that stuff, so they end up going to the club. He, for now, is gonna chill. Now, Big D is going to end up fixing Dime's car for her. Now, while he's fixing the car and Dime is trying to give him money for fixing the car, of course, because she doesn't want to owe him anything. You know, she wants to pay for the service that he provided. Your boy Amp is going to walk up. And of course, you know, he's already been drinking. He's probably already high. So this irritates him even more. You know, these two are back and forth trying to make each other jealous, because you can kind of see at this moment that Dime, in her mind, even though I don't think she's really into Big D, but I think that she wants to use him to make Amp jealous in a way as well. But, you know, Amp is like, let me holler at him. And then when he calls Dime the B word, like, Big D is just not having it. And the interaction between these two is just the most. But at the end of the day, Big D was already warned that this was already a situation. And I don't understand why he just doesn't fall back, because it already seems so messy. And why would you want to jump in this messy situation? I just don't like it. But anyway, Big D is like, you know, don't worry about him. You know, we vibing. I'm just like, bruh, this is too much. So anyway, y'all, they get into the locker room and Amp is still on one. But before Amp comes in, Fuego is going to be talking to Midnight and Doc. And Midnight is going to tell them that Babyface is in jail. And then Doc is just like, you know, Madam will take care of it. And then Fuego is just like, look, you know, y'all act like she is God or something. And then he's just like, I don't know if I can do this. And then he just walks out. And in that moment, y'all, I knew right then that Fuego was not going to last, that this is not for him. You know, I actually have a whole video about that. I'll leave it somewhere, maybe in the description or something, about Fuego and if he was going to, you know, end up telling it. Like, at the end of the day, Fuego is just not built for this life. So anyway, y'all, once Amp gets in the room, he lets them know, like, hey, you know, he tried to come at Dime. And Doc tries to calm him down, but Amp is just not trying to hear it. He's full of all of this alcohol. He probably been smoking, and he is just on one. And in this moment, you can also see that Amp is still really hurt by what his auntie did to him. Although it seems like he's moved on and accepted her apology and all that stuff, he literally really is still hurting from this. And I think being in that situation, being there at the club, all it does is continue to remind him of everything that he went through. He even talks about how she betrayed him. They say a drunk man don't tell no lies, and Amp was just, you know, spilling the beans. And so he basically says he don't like Eden. He don't want to be there. So it is what it is, y'all. Now, meanwhile, y'all, your girl Trouble is still out here causing trouble. She trying to set up Casanova again, trying to get him up into the VIP room. Now, what she was going to do once he was up there, to be honest, I have no clue, but she wanted to get him up there. She's really trying to figure out who Casanova is, and it feels like this storyline is going to continue over, that she's eventually going to figure out that he's a cop, even though, once again, everybody else who is important already knows this information, but Trouble is really trying to figure it out, and I think she will eventually figure it out. Now, we do get a blast from the past, y'all. We do get Rayshawn, who pops back up trying to get his job back, you know. And this is when we're going to see a more softer and tender side of Trouble, because anytime she interacts with Rayshawn, she's always this softer person, this kinder person, because she really cuts for him and she really cares for him. Now, he does tell her that Tandy and her husband really messed his insides up, and he's trying to get a job at the bar. He wants to talk to Madam, and I'm just like, bruh, just let it go. You need to go go find you another job. This probably is not the place for you. So anyway, y'all, Lotus still thinks this is a game. She still tries to tell them like how they made a mistake and do you know who I am? I guess I should backtrack. So turns out it actually was Lotus who got kidnapped. They have her right there, you know, in their favorite place down there in the basement. And she's telling them like, look, you made a mistake. Do you know who I am? And Madam just lets her know, like, I know exactly who you are. I know who your father is, you know, and Madam doesn't really seem to care about any of that. And it's in this moment that you realize that Lotus has no bite at all, that she literally stands behind her father's name. Lotus thinks that it's a game. She's looking at Madam and she's still thinking that Madam isn't going to do anything. She's like, if you just let me go, you'll have a lighter punishment. And I'm just like, who says that to Madam? Like, you'll have a lighter punishment? What does that even mean? And then she tells them, hey, you know, like, you'll just lose a leg and an arm. And I'm just like, you talking to Madam like you really don't know. You really don't understand the situation that you're in right now. I just didn't get it, but I knew right then, like I said, Lotus is not about that life. She is just in this life because she was born into this life, but she actually isn't about this life. She literally thought it was a game, y'all. Madam basically tells her like, look, we are not the same. You know, you want to negotiate, but when I kill, you're dead. And I'm just like, exactly, like that's the difference. You know, like I know that you're tied up right now, Lotus, but at the end of the day, you don't tell somebody like, okay, you let me go and you'll only lose an arm and a leg. Who the hell wants to lose a damn arm and a leg? Bitch, I'm just gonna kill you if that's the case. Like, come on, Lotus. Like, anyway, y'all, I'm about to go off on a rant. Let me bring it back in. I'm gonna tell Tommy to take her to the guillotine, and she's like, the guillotine? I'm sorry. This was funny because she still thought it was a joke. And she's like, I'm not scared. You know, I'm just thinking to myself, girl, you better be scared because ain't nobody going to be able to save you at this point. Yeah, there's going to be some backlash to this, but you pretty much are dead at this point. So anyway, y'all, Lotus makes one last plea when she tells Madam that this isn't scary at all and that she wasn't going to do it. And then within a few seconds, you know, I mean, the thing came down and Lotus' head was off, y'all. I'm just saying, they really got to stop playing with Madam like this because she really don't give two Fs. And yes, there is going to be a lot of blowback from this. There is going to be a heavy season 3 because we're going to have a whole new enemy coming after Madam. But I'm not even going to lie. In this moment right here, after seeing how Lotus truly underestimated Madam and how she truly thought that Madam was someone to be toyed with, I really didn't feel that bad for her. I was just like, look, if you had just chilled out like your husband asked you to do and let this be, and if you had thought about this from the business sense, from the crime boss sense, you know, you're supposed to be this princess heir to the cartel throne, but if you had thought about this like a real boss, then you would have known that you should have just left Madam alone from the beginning because it just didn't make good business sense when it was all said and done. Yeah, at the end of the day, Madam just isn't scared to die, y'all. She is okay with dying, but she's never going to let somebody disrespect her or do any of the things that Lotus did to her, regardless of who the family is. And that's what we're seeing play out in this particular episode. Now, Madam is going to tell them to go ahead and pack her head up and send it over to her husband. And then we're going to see that Fuego is going to end up making the worst decision he could ever make, y'all. He's going to run off stage during the dance, and then he's going to end up in the back. He's going to see Big D, and he's going to tell Big D to get away from Eden and that it's not what he think it is. And, you know, I don't understand why everybody keep cussing out Big D, because right after that, Big D was like, you know, I'm gonna mind my business. But then he says something and then he just cusses at him. Like, I'm just like, why is everybody trying to rough up Big D like this? He just a simple, nice Texas guy. Come on now, y'all. So anyway, y'all, Trouble is going to end up coming back there and she's going to talk to Big D and introduce herself. But you already know Trouble trying to figure out how he got up on the big stage and why she not on the big stage. So anyway, it was just a waste of screen time in my opinion. But, you know, it is what it is. This is Trouble. So anyway, y'all, last but not least, the Concierge is going to receive Lotus' head. And your boy Fuego's dumb ass is going to go to Detective Davis and says, I want to tell you everything. Now, Babyface is going to end up see him and he's going to know that something is up, y'all. And this is how this episode ends. Okay, y'all, so that's what's up with season 2, episode 19, Danger, Danger. Now, y'all, go ahead and get the conversation down below. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Let me know what y'all thought about this whole situation. Now, y'all, we are not going to have an episode 20 video like this because your girl is going to be going live for the first time. We are going to be having a finale recap party. We're going to be talking about all the Queens men, just overall, the overall episode 20. We're going to recap that one, but we are going to talk about just everything in general. So make sure that you guys have your notifications turned on. Now, guys, if you like this video, make sure to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. And as always, make sure that you have those notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of my videos. Now, YouTube says that you might just like this video next, so go ahead and check it out. Until next time, guys, peace.